what's claimed as a masterpiece by the whole world, but you don't just get why. I'll never understand why the movie Don't Look Up was so hyped after release. The entire plot is what if the world was exactly the same as it is, but will act as different characters and make climate crisis happen faster. Add star cast, then profit. It's a stupid film with the most on-the-nose premise ever made. It's 2017, let me make a protest film where something bad happens to America in 11/9 and they invade Iran and Pakistan for 20 years. So brilliant. Most are BS. They are only considered masterpieces because of promotion. There are literally hundreds of artists producing the same quality work, if not better during the Renaissance era or any other era. Same with modern art, all about the promotion. Often you see artists producing something, and they think it looks cool, and then producing a backstory about what it's mean to be. Dark Souls. A game with no narrative, no instructions, poor UI, fan-driven lore, minimal music, clunky gameplay, anti-rewards, and no canonical ending sparked an entire genre of games meant to troll players into giving themselves their own dopamine fix. If a game like this came out today, gamers would be raging that it's a half-assed, incomplete game. Because it is. The Witcher 3, I tried to play this, I sincerely tried to see what made this game the game of the ages, but I just couldn't get immersed in it. I'm sure the people who made this busted ass to make this happen, but I just can't get the enjoyment out of it that other people see. Imagined by John Lennon. It's a fucking pretentious, arrogant, wankfest of a song. And to top it off, the film clip of this cunt in a big white mansion with a white grand piano, getting driven around in a Rolls Royce, while clothes in designer fashion. I don't think the devs are giving back, I think they are trying to sell the DLC and recover their reputation enough to not affect sales on their next title. I agree the game is really quite good now though. I wish my first playthrough was in 2.0. Most of the iconic American female singers. Beyoncé, Mariah Nadal. It's the warbling style trying to hit every damn note in one song. It's uniquely American and I think it sounds stupid. Also any fashion designed by Kanye. Like WTF? War and Peace is the most overrated boring piece of literature I've ever read. Also most books by Dostoevsky was just a miserable person and had an extremely miserable outlook on the world. His books are not that deep. Forrest Gump. I think the movie is actually doing a disservice to people with mental illness, as it makes it seem they are like the character in the film. Not a bad movie, okay for its time, not an all-time masterpiece for sure. Taxi Driver, Casino, and basically of the movies ETH Mafia, Clans, Drugs Made with Al Pacino and De Niro. Scarface movie was a motherfucking load of crap. I'd rather bang my head against the wall and it'd be less disturbing. I will start a hellfire here. Table card game, like Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Shadow vs CCG, etc. I'm sorry, but my deep brain cannot process those combos that you've memorized since junior high school mate. Modern art. Saw a guy filling a tower of buckets with sand then poking a hole in the bottom one and everyone was there watching a tower of buckets full of sand fall. When it did fall at the end everyone clapped. WTF, Farron. The idea is awesome and has a lot of potential but the execution is still a lazy cliché fantasy world with world-building plot holes and generic terms like hero, party and adventurer that break all immersion. Most of Michael Jackson's songs. They are not bad in any way, some are decently catchy and he had one hell of a voice, but I've never understood why he got that big with such a in my mind mid-discography. All modern art is ugly AF. Defense of it just boils down to varying levels of pseudo-intellectual arguments about how subversive and edgy it is. We get it, you smell your own farts and you're myopic. Pasta, it's just bad. The food itself is bad, so you have to smother it with whatever garbage tomato-based sauce you use and then it's still bad. Good food doesn't need sauce to taste good. Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films. Epic and grandiose sure, but vulgar and tacky at the same time. I'm old enough to have lived the original hype. Never got it. Any of Star Wars. Have no clue why people here are so addicted to these films. Watched all of them. They are good, really, but not so good to make them iconic. The Witcher 3 and CGPR in general. Elden Ring and From Software in general. BioShock Infinite. Breath of the Wild. That's just off the top of my head. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I even think the TV adaptation is better than this boring and pretentious thing. Jack Nicholson's performance is great though. A lot of art. Like Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa and Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night Sky. It's basic stuff, and there are better paintings from the eras. Frankenstein. I've tried to read it so many times and I can't get over how it sounds like a precocious teenager wrote it. The Eiffel Tower. Everyone in Paris thought it was hideous when it was built. It's not really that aesthetically pleasing. I don't really understand the hype around Elden Ring. If someone here wants to tell me about how good it is, I'm all ears. Shawshank Redemption. It was okay, but the amount of people carrying on like it was the best movie ever made was odd. The Mona Lisa isn't even the most interesting piece by Da Vinci. And Da Vinci's best work weren't his paintings. Shakespeare. I studied literature in college and I loved the classics, but I could never get into Shakespeare. Red Dead 2 very good, but the first is better. Taxi Driver boring AF. That's actually all I know. Most of the paintings from hundreds of years ago in the language that is used to describe them. Stranger Things. We get it. You all wish you lived in the 80s and never saw the Goonies before. Game of Thrones. Why did it take people 8 seasons to quit asking me how do you not watch it? The Shawshank Redemption. It's a boring Hallmark movie suited for Sunday afternoon TV reruns. Quentin Tarantino movies. I never got it. I don't understand why people like him so much. A lot of Picasso's work or Jackson Pollock's work, pretty much every Thomas Kincaid. The Godfather. Don't kill me. It's good I guess, but I don't get the endless appeal. LOTR. I can barely stay awake watching it even though I wanted to like it. Citizen Kane. I've watched it 3 times, I've hated it each time. Fairuz, Arab people will know her. I find her voice so annoying. Mozart. Why are people keeping that old stuff relative still?